This is IFOS. We're fighting against misinformation and propaganda, and today we will talk about occupation and who really occupied whom. When you say that a territory is being occupied by someone, do you know what it means? A territory being occupied means that it is actually placed under the authority of a hostile army. Crimea is being occupied by Russian army because it was militarily invaded and captured. Abkhazia is being occupied by Russian army because it was militarily invaded and captured. Gaza is being occupied by... well, there we go. The question here is, what country or what organization is it being occupied by? Let's start with 18 years ago, when in 2005 Prime Minister Ariel Sharon proposed a plan to improve Israel's security and international status in the absence of peace negotiations with the Palestinians. With the implementation of the plan, IDF installations and forces were removed and over 9,000 Israeli citizens living in 25 settlements were evicted. By the 22nd of September 2005, Israel's withdrawal from the entire Gaza Strip to the 1967 Green Line and the eviction of the 4 settlements in Samaria was completed. Israel left behind a plethora of agricultural resources and a thriving greenhouse industry, the majority of which was operational after Israel's withdrawal despite looting from citizens on both sides. Since that time, Gaza is not under Israel. In 2006, the democratic election in January, Hamas got the majority and became the ruling party in Gaza. Hamas, designated as a terrorist organization by EU, Australia, Canada, Israel, Japan, New Zealand, UK, USA, and the Organization of American States, wins an election in Gaza Strip. According to OECD reports, the Palestinian Authority continued to receive billions of US dollars annually in funding. There were even talks underway regarding the renovation of a Gazan airport. Following Israel's withdrawal, the governing bodies in Gaza had the resources and the funds to revitalize the Gazan economy and build a promising future for their people. But the authorities invested immediately in terror. Amidst factional fighting with Fatah, Hamas invested hundreds of millions of dollars into the construction of an extensive series of cross-border terror tunnels, and to this day have not built a single bomb shelter to protect innocent Palestinians. They continued to launch a barrage of missiles from civilian infrastructures, using their civilians as human shields to seek immunity for their terrorist operations. After the signing of the Oslo Accords in 1994, Israel implemented multiple crossings for Gaza to have an access to the outer world, to bring goods to Gaza, imports and exports crossing, a pedestrian and vehicle crossing, crossing for movement of construction materials, and the fuel terminal. Resources could move freely between Gaza and Israel. There was no blockade. These same crossings, however, were consistently abused for terrorist purposes. Naturally, the ravaging of these terminals significantly hampered the flow of goods, devastating not only the Israeli civilians victims to these attacks, but also the Palestinians in Gaza who were deprived of necessities. This was a recurrent phenomenon from the very existence of these terminals. In the years leading up to the massacre of October 7th, Israel allowed tens of thousands of Gazans each month to enter Israel through the Erez crossing, many of whom worked in nearby Israeli villages. On October 7th, the children, the women, and simply the civilians of these villages were massacred at the hands of these same workers. Israel has been left with no choice but to limit activity in Gaza crossings. The Israeli blockade is not the oppression of Palestinians, but the protection of Israeli citizens. Egypt, on the other hand, claims to care for Palestinians, but has an unrelenting blockade on Gaza and will not accept refugees into Sinai in light of the ongoing war. Today, while the people of Gaza are subject to abject poverty, the most senior leaders of Hamas, Musa, Khaled and Ismail, each have a net worth of over $3 billion as they profit off of misery and terror, laundering the funds of aid agencies to finance their marble-floored mansions and luxury hotels. Gaza had the funds and resources to flourish, but Hamas has neglected the Palestinian people in a blinded pursuit of its sole aspiration, exterminating Israel.